Hello everyone, welcome back to Ravers Mead, welcome back to another video. My name's Demi and this is Nelly, and today we're going to do a video all about Mallanders. Now I actually did this about a year ago. I did a video very similar to this, in fact pretty much exactly the same as this, only the camera I used at that time was awful, so whilst the information in the video is actually quite good, the video quality and the sound quality are shocking and completely let it down. So I thought it was about time I redid that video and put it back out there in a much better way for you all to get that information. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Nelly here is a traditional gypsy cob and she does suffer from Mallanders. Now all three of our gypsy cobs suffer from this condition. It's not uncommon. It's not anything horrible, it's not caused by something that you're doing wrong. It is just a condition that heavily feathered horses suffer from. So Mallanders is actually caused by an overproduction of keratin. And what you'll find is the condition tends to manifest around the backs of the knees and down the backs of the legs in these heavily feathered breeds. And it manifests as scabbing and flaking, like I said, around the backs of the knees and down the backs of the legs. Now you can also get it on the back legs. When you get it on the back legs, it's referred to as Sallanders, but Mallanders and Sallanders are exactly the same condition, so don't get confused by that. It's the same thing, it's just one refers to it being on the front legs and one refers to it being on the back legs. But it's the same thing and you treat it and deal with it in exactly the same way. Now, most people will give you a great big list of all these professional products and veterinary treatments that you have to go through to deal with this. But actually in most cases you can deal with it really easily with really simple home treatments, and that's what I want to show you today. Now obviously it depends on the severity of your case. So in Nelly's case here, let me see if I can show you. Okay, so in Nelly's case here you can see that we have lots of scabs. Now most of these scabs are loose within the hair. Some of this, like all this dirty stuff you're seeing here, this is actually from where I've been putting some pseudocreme on her, but I will go through in a little while and explain to you everything that I use and why I use it. But for now, I just want to show you what we're dealing with. So this is what Mallanders looks like. You get scabs, you get scurf. She has a little bit of blood there, but I think that's actually from a bug bite, not from Mallanders. But if we have a little rummage in here, you can see that we've got a lot of scabbing at the skin. Got all these white flakes, like this. And we've actually got some actual raw red scabbing in there as well, which is not what I want to see. That's the bit that I don't like. These loose scabs that have come off and are just stuck in the hair, that doesn't bother me nowhere near as much as that red scabbing does on the backs of her legs there. And if we have a look at the other leg, okay, I don't think this one's quite so bad. Yeah, so we haven't got any red or blood in there, but it's still quite flaky, still quite unpleasant. So yeah, that gives you an idea of what Mallanders actually looks like. Now, it can get a lot worse than this. It can get an awful lot worse than this. The trick is to just keep on top of it. Now, I'm sorry to tell you, but as far as I'm aware, there is no cure for this. It's just a case of treatment and management, which is what I'm going to show you today. Now, Nelly's right leg, that's what I showed you here with the redness and the little bit of blood in there, that's about as bad as it ever gets here. I haven't actually checked her legs for a couple of days, so that is purely through me just not checking and keeping on top of her that it's got like that. But what can happen is if it's left untreated for too long, that little red bit that you saw can become as big as the back of the horse's knee. It can take over the entire back of the knee joint, and then you'll end up with cracking and bleeding and lots of scabbing. And what happens then is, obviously, because you've got open skin, your horse is susceptible to secondary infection, and that's when you're going to find yourself in a real pickle, and that's when the horse is going to get in quite bad shape, and that's usually when people require veterinary intervention to deal with it, because obviously you've got infections in the skin, you've got hair loss, you've got a lame horse because they can't flex the joint because of all the scabbing and the bleeding, and yeah, that's usually when you need veterinary intervention. But for this, what I'm showing you today, there's no need to worry about contacting a vet unless you feel uncomfortable dealing with yourself, in which case of course contact your vet. But for anyone who just wants a really basic rundown of how to deal with this, it's very doable. So the first thing I will always do, and I'm going to show you this in a minute, is when it's at this stage, I'm going to go ahead and shampoo this. Now, I tend to use the most simple, basic, organic style shampoo that I can get my hands on. And that is just a personal preference, because I don't like using harsh chemicals on myself or on the horses if I can help it. So in my previous video, I actually recommended using something called soft soap. I'll go ahead and put a link to that in the description of the video again, because quite a few people were interested in that. That is generally my go-to soap for feather washing and dealing with Mallanders, because it's an amazing soap. It's so good. It leaves their feathers in wonderful condition. And you can wash the whole body with it. It's, you know, it's not medical or anything like that. It's just a really good basic soap. I don't have any of that at the moment, so instead I've got Castile soap. Now this is actually just a soap base, so this is the most simple form of this type of soap that you can get. It's got no harsh chemicals in it. It's just kind and gentle and soft, which is exactly what I want for their skin, because I don't want to be putting anything on that open scab that's going to sting or cause her any irritation. So I've got a nice bog standard simple soap. Hello Tia. And I'm going to go ahead today and give the feathers a really good scrub. Well, I say the feathers, I'm not going to wash her entire leg. I'm literally just going to wash this patch on the back of her knee where all the scabs are, because what I want to do is loosen and remove all of the scabs that are stuck in the hair, and I want to soften the skin, and that's what this is going to do. It's going to soften everything and help me to get it out really easily. So let's go ahead and do that now, and then I will explain to you the next stages, which again are super easy. Doesn't require any fancy stuff, it doesn't require any specific brands or any like posh veterinary products. It's all cheap and cheerful, easy stuff that you've probably got lying around anyway. Okay, so literally as quick as that. That took me less than a minute. I've literally just chucked some water on the back of her leg, and I've used a handful or so of shampoo, rubbed it in really well. That shampoo's actually really good. I like that a lot. It's unscented, it's unperfumed. I mean, you can add stuff to it if you want. I'll probably go ahead and add something like tea tree oil to it, maybe some neem oil. But yeah, the feather is nice and soft now, it's nice and silky. I haven't rinsed the shampoo out just yet. You can see we've got a lot of hair coming out, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's lots of these little skin flakes all over my hands. Now, what I really want to do is just try and tease all of that out of the hair. Now, this works a lot better if you use warm water. I'm using cold water today. It's May, it's not cold out. And to be honest, her legs aren't that bad that I think it really requires the extra power of the warm water to lift these scabs. But if you have a particularly bad case, or if it's cold out, it's wintry out, go ahead and use warm water. It will make your job a lot easier. Now, what I'm doing here, I don't know if you can see, let's point that down a bit. Oh, you're fidgety, babe. I am trying my best to tease the scabs out of the hair. Now, I don't want people to misunderstand this. I'm not pulling scabs off of the skin. That's not what I'm going to do. That will upset your horse, that will hurt your horse, and it will make your horse bleed. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm teasing all of the loose, scabby, flaky bits out that are caught in her feathers, like this. So all of this is detached from the skin. It's just stuck in her feathers. And what that does is it causes the feathers to clump, it causes them to stick together, and you then get this like build up, like this textbook Mallanders build up within the hair, and it gets thicker and crustier, and that then starts pulling on the hair then starts pulling on the skin, and then obviously you're causing more discomfort to the horse. So I will do my best to try and remove as many of these scabs as I can, just teasing them out of the hair. I said I'm not pulling any scabs off of the skin, so all of the scabs, let me show you a second. Okay, so this scab in here, that is firmly attached to the skin. I'm not touching that, I'm not pulling that off. But all of this stuff in here, so here's a little chunk of scabs in here. Oh, my camera's not quite at the right angle. Sorry guys, I'm still getting used to this camera. It's a bit of a learning curve yet again. But all these scabs in here, you can see, I'm just teasing them out. Now, hair is going to come out with it. Unfortunately, you're just going to have to live with that. But yeah, that's the basic principle of the washing phase. Now, apart from loosening and teasing out the scabs, what this also does is ensure that the hair and the skin are clean, because some of the products that I use, you do get kind of a build-up. I use a lot of oils, and you get build-up after a while, so it's good every once in a while. I probably do it once a fortnight if they're really bad, or once a month if it's all under control. I will give them a shampoo just to remove all that build-up, ensure the skin is clean. But equally, if you have any scabbing, shampooing is going to make sure that the wound is clean, and that's really important because, like I said, you want to prevent any secondary infection from getting in there. Sorry, I'm being harassed by small dogs. Where was I? Yeah, I said preventing any secondary infection by keeping any scabs and wounds clean. So that's the first bit. I'm going to rinse that out. I'm probably just going to go ahead and chuck the rest of that bucket of water over her because I have it here, and then we're going to go on to the next bit, which is oil. So in the normal running of things, I would leave this for half an hour to dry properly, but I'm just going to give it a really quick towel dry, get as much of the water off as I can, and then we'll carry on with the next bit. So the next phase is pig oil. Now, this pig oil I've got here is a little bit of a funny colour because I have put a few extra bits and bobs in it. So I've added some neem oil to it, and I've also added some tea tree oil to it. Both of those are really, really good for the skin, really, really good for the hair, and they're going to aid healing if it is needed down there, which is exactly what I want right now because Miss Nellie New here does have a scab on the back of her leg. I felt like I zoomed my camera in and I didn't zoom it back out. Oh, there we go. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. Here I am with this nice new camera and I don't even know how to use it properly yet, so probably this time next year I'll end up doing another rerun of this video once I figured out how my technology works properly, and it'll be even better again. But yeah, back to the pig oil. So pig oil is amazing for feather care, regardless of whether or not your horses have Mallanders. I cannot get enough of this stuff. I not only use it on their feathers, but I use it on their manes, their tails, and I actually use it in very limited quantities on their body as well, as like a coat conditioner. And it is amazing. If you've never used it, I highly recommend it. Again, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description down below for all of this stuff. And a few products that I'm particularly fond of using. Again, I'm not a big person on brands, but there are a couple of brands. Like I said, the soft soap comes from a specific company, so I'll link that for you because it's really, really good. And I'll also link that castor soap, and I'll put links. Go check out the description, I'll put the links. Anyway, pig oil. Easiest way to apply pig oil that I have ever found is to use an old washing up liquid bottle. Trying to put it in like spray bottles doesn't work because the oil very quickly clogs up the mechanism, and it's just not functional, it's not ideal, it doesn't work great. So get yourselves an old washing up liquid bottle, make sure it's really, really well washed out because you don't want any of those harsh chemicals going on the horse's skin again. And all I'm going to do now is squirt some of this through her feathers, rub it right into the skin, and that's going to be it for Nellie for today. But I am going to explain to you a couple of other little tips I have as well, apart from just the pig oil and the shampooing. So let's get this on her, and it literally is a case of just squirt it on, rub it in. Now, you don't need an awful lot of this. Some people say that you need to absolutely saturate the horse's leg, and it's just not the case. You don't need tons of this stuff. Just enough to make sure it's down to the skin. I'm just rubbing it into that scab she's got there, and then I'm just gonna tease it through all of the hair, everywhere where she's got a few little scabs remaining that are stuck in the hair that I couldn't get out with the shampoo and the wash. And that's it, done, sorted. Now, what I've shown you there, that is a kind of, like I said, once a month, maybe once a fortnight if they're having a bad flare-up kind of treatment. I don't shampoo every time I do this. Now, on a normal day, what I would do is just, oh, it's made my hands so soft, I love that oil. I will use pig oil maybe 2 or 3 days a week. 3 days a week tops, more likely 2 days a week. And I will do what I've just done there, except I will cover all of the feathers. I usually squirt some on the back of the knee, and then I'll squirt a dollop on my hand and just rub it around the slippers around here. And what that does is it just helps to keep the feathers really well conditioned and nourished, and it helps any new scabs that are forming to just slide on out of the hair really easily. It keeps the skin nice and soft, so you don't get that horrible scabby build-up that you get normally. It kind of like self-manages and self-cleanses everything. Now, if, say for example, you have some really bad scabbing on your horse's leg and you've got some small open wounds, you've got some cracking of the skin, what I would do is after I've shampooed it and I've cleaned it and I've made sure the whole area is nice and clean and the skin's soft and everything's dry, you've done that bit, I would go ahead and get some kind of antibacterial wound cream. Now, it doesn't particularly matter what it is. My go-to, generally speaking, is Sudocrem. This is a really faded bottle, but I promise you it is Sudocrem. And what I'll do is, if there's any open wounds on the backs of their legs, I will just take like a finger scoop of this and just rub that into the wound. And then I will pig oil on top of all of that, and that's it, job done. And I will check that every day after that then, and reapply this if I need it until the wound has sealed over. Because this is going to stop any infection from taking hold. The other little tip I have, so if you have really, really bad scabbing, and I mean really, really, really bad scabbing, like it's crusty, it's thick, I'm talking like a couple of inches thicker scab here, which I have seen on some poor horses before, it does happen. Now, what I would do in that instance is I would get a really, really heavy duty grease, something that's a lot thicker and a lot more substantial than the pig oil. What I tend to go to in those instances is something called cow salve. Again, this is just a product I happen to have found that does the job that I want it to do. This is basically what they put on cow udders to help stop chafing and cracking and infection and stuff like that. It's super, super greasy. And what I will do is I will get a load of this, and again, this is for extreme scabbing. I'll get a load of this and I will rub it right into the scabs and absolutely slather it on there. Leave it for 2 to 3 days, and then I will go ahead and shampoo, deal with any wound problems, and then put the pig oil on afterwards, and then you're in like a maintenance phase, hopefully, with just the pig oil and the once or twice monthly shampooing. Now, I will give you all a fair warning, this stuff is messy. The dirt likes to stick to it. It clogs the hair together. If your horse still has feathers while you're treating this, it will make the feathers stick together and it will look like a horrible grease slick. But I promise you, it deals with the scabs really, really quickly in my experience. So anything like that, any kind of really thick, heavy grease, in all honesty, Vaseline will probably do the same thing. It's a very similar consistency to this. So again, you don't have to like use the exact products that I'm using today. I said this is just stuff that we've accumulated over the years that works for us. The other thing I wanted to say, actually, following on from that, is Mallanders doesn't have to be a death sentence for feathers, okay? So most people, and I've heard so many vets say this as well, like they come out and they see a horse and it's got horrible scabs on the back of their legs, and they say, oh, you have to shave the feathers off. And you get told this when dealing with feather mites as well, which again is not true. You don't have to shave the feathers off to deal with feather mites or Mallanders. Yes, arguably it could make treating the conditions easier. I don't think it is any easier personally. I mean, I don't find it a problem just parting the feathers to get to the skin to treat this condition. But I guess that's down to personal preference. But please don't feel that you have to shave your horse's legs just because they have Mallanders scabs on them. It's perfectly treatable without touching the hair, I promise you. Oh man, come here. I got a terrier down here again. The final thing that I wanted to say to you all before I wrap this video up is you need to understand, and this is the most important thing when dealing with this condition, that there isn't a cure that I'm aware of. If anybody knows of like an absolute cure to this, please go ahead and let me know. Tag me in some links if you've seen papers or any information regarding this, but I have never found any information regarding an actual cure to this condition. It's not life-threatening, it's not a big deal, it's just a skin condition, but the bottom line is it's all down to ongoing management. Now, if you were to put your pig oil on today, okay, and hope that you'll never have to deal with Mallanders again, you're gonna be disappointed. I'm sorry to tell you, but you will be disappointed. You have to keep up with the maintenance, you have to have a routine, you have to keep checking them on a constant basis and adjusting what you're putting on their legs to deal with whatever issues they're having at the time. It is just constant maintenance. But it's not hard work. It is really, really simple. I mean, everything I've showed you today, if I wasn't talking to a camera, what I've done today would have taken no more than 5 minutes, and that's to do both of her front legs, not just one of them. Literally no more than 5 minutes. It's quick, it's easy, and once you're on top of it, it gets so much easier. So don't be disheartened if your horse's legs are an absolute mess at the moment. Just put the grease on them, put the oil on them, make sure you're keeping any wounds under control, make sure you're keeping them clean, keep putting the pig oil on, keep washing them on a regular basis, and you will see a massive, massive improvement. And eventually you will get to a point where we are now, where, like I said, you just put some pig oil on 2 or 3 times a week tops, and I shampoo them maybe once a month if they need it, like in Nellie's case where she had a scab today. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions about Mallanders or anything we've covered in this video, please go ahead and fire those off in the comments down below, or you can drop us an email or anything like that, or contact us on Facebook or Instagram. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on our next video. Bye!